This past month has been very eventful for us here at the Evening Review. For our Friday hour, we've had a number of guests from groups and organizations on campus. This is an interview with the Binghamton Film Initiative and contestants of the Film 48 competition, which has since announced its winners. More information about the Binghamton Film Initiative and Film 48 at Binghamton can be found on the BFI Facebook page, as well as on their recently launched Vimeo page. Enjoy! Good evening and welcome back to the Evening Review on WHRW 90.5 FM Binghamton. You are listening to the Friday special edition of the broadcast. We have in studio some very special guests from the Binghamton Film Initiative. Introduce yourself, boys.
Hello, my name is Jared Buno. I'm a senior, I'm a cinema major, and I do film and stuff.
And I am Tyler Downey. I'm a super senior, theater major, as well as English creative writing, and I try to do film stuff.
And we also have some of the contestants of the 48-hour film competition that was this past weekend. Just say your name and your
I'm
major.
Oliver. I was in one of the teams that got the thriller genre.
Okay.
And I'm Brendan Gregory. I directed for the team Video Villages Down that did the thriller genre.
I'm Jordan. I got mystery.
And I'm Matt. I edited and shot for the fantasy genre for our group.
All right, so I think we should start off with the BFI boys here. I just want to, the BFI boys. I think it's alliterative, it sounds good.
We're actually forming a boy band, and we're going to call ourselves the BFI
boys. You should totally do that.
That's totally fun.
So let's begin. For those of our listeners who don't know what BFI is, can you tell us a little bit about that and how you got it started here?
Well, it all started at a kitchen table
Yeah.
about a year ago.
Looking like that, actually, very close to a year ago.
Yeah, Tyler contacted me on Facebook and said, "Hi, I'm a theater major. You're a cinema major. These two disciplines should be talking. At any, university setting, it makes sense in the media world at a university that filmmakers should be working with actors and vice versa." And it wasn't happening at Binghamton. It wasn't happening to any extent, and it was disappointing. And we felt that there was a gap that needed to be filled. So we decided to make an attempt to bridge these two departments, these two worlds together, and connect them.
Yeah, definitely. That was basically the goal. Actually, I contacted him. Me and Jared had originally worked together on some film TV shows through BTV, and I actually contacted him looking for a higher up in the cinema area, and not thinking about working with him, but since working with him, though, I couldn't do without him. It's been it's been a great experience, and now we've come through 1 year. We've come quite far.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the projects you've done so far with BFI?
So the main thing, what BFI is, when people say, what is BFI? BFI is a website. BFI is BinghamtonFilmInitiative.com. It's an online platform that is basically an online database of student actors and student filmmakers. Basically, you register a profile, you give some info about yourself, a mini bio, and if I'm a filmmaker looking for actors for my film, I can go on BFI, search through all of the student actors that have registered and say, I like you, hey, you audition for me, and that's the gist. And then we've done a lot of student works as part of like a BFI production team.
Oh, well, yes. We've had seven. Well, we have Proximity, which I wrote and directed myself. It's a sci-fi, as well as The Bag, which was directed by a friend of mine, Samuel Checo, or written by him, actually. And we have Spare Change, written by Esther Lenderman, which is actually not a sci-fi, but more of a romantic, cute movie, which is a different one for us. And a Fallout, which was our big one. It was our big production of the past semester, the only really funded production that we did, and it is a breathtaking film of Binghamton and involves many people that are students here as well as graduates, directed and written by an alumni, Ethan Scarduzio, and is a post-apocalyptic thriller. And we have Prepper, which was actually our first film that we ever did as a collaboration of BFI, and that was written by Jared, and it's kind of a short little comedy about a girl who is faking pregnancy so as to get out of a ticket by a cop.
We have a lot of stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of different fun stuff. But no, 7 films that have been produced over the past year, and they're all done. They're all completed. We just released. Well, we're about to release them online. We just premiered them at the Art Mission Theater, and we're happy.
My co-host here, Ashley Dufresne, has a question
Hi.
about that.
Yeah, so I went to the screening and I enjoyed it. I really liked Fallout. It was probably one of my favorites. But Alon, can you say which one was your favorite to do?
We put an insane amount of work into Fallout. 3 months of pre-production. We raised $3,000 on Kickstarter. We went all over the place and worked very hard to get that film done. But my favorite film to make was Proximity, because it was our first really team-oriented production. It was the first time we ever got together and really said, can we make a film? Can this team do it? Can we construct a scene? Can we work as a crew? Can we not kill each other on set and stress out? We got onto set at 6 p.m. I got home at 7 a.m. It was one of the most intense shoots of my life. We didn't sleep. We were dead. We were kicking down Red Bulls. It was just a very, Proximity is a sci-fi film. I felt like I was in a sci-fi world.
When you stay up that long, yes.
Yes, I was locked in that one damp house where we filmed these creepy, crawling scenes and stuff. And it was amazing, and we were just so tired. I didn't go to class for 3 days.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was rough. What was your favorite?
Well, for me personally, I had a couple different roles in different areas, but acting in Fallout was my favorite. It was more free than I've been on film so far, and it was something actually I wouldn't really show my parents without leaving the room or not seeing their reaction to. Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I was able to have a lot of fun with it. And also just being on set, we were also up late, but it was just the equipment we were using was superb. The teamwork was very seamless, and it was very perfect. And not perfect, but it was better production than we had handled. And actually, I'm going to go along with Jared on saying the Proximity as well. I mean, not only because it was my first experience writing and directing a film, but that feeling that when it does get to 4 and 5 in the morning, which we have videos of us talking or mumbling mainly at that time, and that's really what filmmaking has come down to me as a really strong heart of it. At least for student filmmaking, it's that moment where you bond because you have no other choice and you're in a small location, and it's just a very interesting experience. It's past the point when anyone wants to continue, and we continue anyways.
Now, that actually brings us to the next part. We're speaking about Film 48 and having to do that experience.
And no sleep.
48 hours, no sleep, 2 days, you got to make a movie. What was your role in bringing that to light here in Binghamton?
Well, the 48-hour film competition concept is actually a nationally known concept. It happens in a lot of major cities, New York, San Francisco. It's pretty popular around the nation. But we never really saw it coming to a university setting. We said, I don't know if there's any schools that are doing this, any film programs. Maybe there are, maybe there's a couple, but BFI wanted, basically, we had a goal of spreading the experience of filmmaking to a large amount of people in a short amount of time. So a 48-hour film competition does exactly that. BTV and BFI kind of discussed possible events, and it was the first one that came up, and we said, yes, let's just do this.
I think we should start with what the goal is. Were you guys assigned genres, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll give you the breakdown of the competition is that basically the idea is that we want to combat people bringing pre-written material and pre-written films. So basically, right before the gun goes off, teams are assigned a genre. They are assigned a character name that they must use, and they are assigned a prop that they must use. In this case, it was a newspaper. The character names were Phil and Phyllis Anderson. The prop was a newspaper, and the line was, I've been checking you out. So every single team had to use Phil and Phyllis Anderson, a newspaper, and I've been checking you out, and then work that into their respective genre. And then you have 48 hours.
Yeah.
2 days.
All right, so let's just go back. What was that like? What was it like working there? And I know, Ashley, you worked on a film as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us about your experience.
It was exhausting. They mentioned not sleeping. I remember just when we finally got to edit, it was at a point where, we were so exhausted that if we just didn't keep talking, I don't think anything would have happened. And but we had a really good group of people to work with, and so it was really funny and a lot of joking around, but we got work done at the same time. And one of the girls who was supposed to be her Melody, she we called her a sleep supervisor because at one point she was like, she just looked at us and she goes, she went out of the room for a minute, needed a break from all of us, and she came back and she's like, all right, guys, we're done. That's it. We can do this tomorrow. We got to go. And we're like, all right, Melody, we'll go. Like, we can go. Like, you're driving. We get it. Like, we'll go. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I know Matt's in there. Matt was on my team.
Yeah, I can attest to that. We did not get much sleep, and I didn't even listen to her actually when she told me to go to sleep. I kept going. I was like, we had to have something finished, but I did eventually. You do have to pace yourself. You do have to get some sleep from time to time in this kind of thing. But if you really press on, if you guys are motivated and you're keeping yourselves awake and each other awake, you can really get something done that's really cool out of all this. Especially a lot of people that I worked with on our team, I didn't know that well before actually getting to work with them. And I think that was actually better than working with your friends, because when you're with your friends, you kind of you slack off a little bit. You get all right, let's just do this for fun. But when you're working with people you don't know too well who have a very common goal, you get very professional very quickly. And I think it worked in our favor.
Can anyone else talk about that experience? The sleep deprivation is, of course, one factor, but what was your favorite part about doing it?
Well, for me, for our whole experience, my favorite part of the entire process was the amazing collaboration that took place in our team. I had worked with Oliver on Fallout, on The Bag, on Proximity last year, and so I got to know him and the rest of the BFI production team through all of those projects. So getting to work with him here as a director and co-writer of the script, and he coming on as our amazing director of photography, we had a great collaboration. My co-writer and assistant director, Greg Hernandez, we were working as hard as we possibly could to make the best possible product. And every single person on that team was a machine. I cannot thank every single member of that team enough for how much hard work and passion they put into it. We were all tired. We were all arguing with each other. But every single argument that went into the film, not even fight, I can't even really call it a fight. Every time that we had to talk about what we wanted to do, what was best for the film, was always in the interest of helping each other out and getting the best possible product that we could in a short amount of time.
Were all of you theater people or English majors? What are all your backgrounds here?
I'd say for our team, for the Thriller Suspense Video Village is Down team, we had a pretty big diversity. I'm a theater major. I've been a theater major as long as I'm here. Oliver is cinema. Greg Hernandez, who is an alumni here, he was a conglomeration of cinema and theater, I believe. We had some theater majors as actors. We had some completely non-theater cinema at all. And then we had one of our main actresses who was none of those majors at all, and she came on and did an amazing job because she's a local actress. Yeah, so it was a great coming together of many different schools.
It was the same thing for our team for the most part. We had, I think it was 2 cinema majors, a couple of theater majors, and then everyone else was kind of just mixed. And it's really cool to get that kind of perspective and have people so focused on one thing. Our actors being theater majors are well versed in how to really kind of present themselves. Maybe not for a camera because they're always on stage, but in the way they kind of adapt to it really well. And then the cinema majors kind of look at things, it was me and the director on our team were cinema majors, and we look at it kind of from that angle, and then everyone else kind of puts their own knowledge into it. It's really cool just seeing that kind of blend instead of having a team of just all cinema or all theater majors just kind of all trying to fight for the same thing and ending up with a weird kind of mix of all of their styles.
Can you tell me a little bit, any one of you can speak to this, about how difficult it might have been to just kind of go with your genre? Did any of you have a script in mind or anything like that beforehand?
I actually watched David Fincher's Gone Girl right before the competition because I had some free time, and I'm like, this is going to inspire me. And it did, because it was amazing. We happened to get the genre mystery, and I just felt so confident when we got that genre because David Fincher is just the king of mystery. So even though I wasn't entirely sure if we could pull it off or not, just having watched that movie, I just felt inspired, and so I was really happy with the genre we got.
Same. We got the suspense thriller genre, and from the second we got that genre, everyone on our team was really psyched about it. We were really excited about the possibility of diving into that genre. And we actually, one of the most fun parts of the entire competition for me was the conceptualizing phase, struggling through and fighting for what we were going to do with the film. We spent 4 hours on the first night just in a studio around a large table with a chalkboard around us, all throwing out ideas, throwing out names and titles of movies, poetry, plays, things that inspired us, ideas that just came to us, concepts. We would do improvs on the floor. We would take the actors through these things, and a million different things were flying on the chalkboard. And I'd say where we started was a million miles away from the film that we finally ended up with. And I was really happy about that, because I think where we ended up was something that let us delve deep into suspense and thriller genres without falling into tropes and things that might be expected. We were able to find a really unique storyline.
Well, I was kind of unhappy with my genre because I got road movie, and I wanted to.
That's a genre.
That's a genre. I really wanted to do really well, and I really wanted to use a lot of advanced equipment and bring a lot of cool stuff to set and really create beautiful looking imagery. I got so many lights, and I got so much equipment, and my car was stacked. My car was literally filled to the top with gear. And then I literally had to remove all the gear from my car because we had to shoot in my car. We used one light. It was the most simple film I ever did in my life. It was like a little bit disappointing. It was like, man, I wanted to like shoot, in like cool locations and rig like 4 lights and like do this crazy elaborate setup, but it was just filming people driving and talking and.
Yeah,
simple. What you
well,
had a great experience.
I did have a good experience. I personally, well, my team, first off, I was actually on the Oliver and Brendan Gregory team, and I decided to branch off, make my own team, which I composed of me and 5 other of my theater major friends. So we were acting heavy, but technological wise, we were very I wouldn't go far as say slow, but we didn't have as much experience. So, which was helpful and also not helpful. We kind of just went at it as we didn't really question if anything was going to work. We forgot to turn the mic on a bunch of times, but we just shot whatever we felt like shooting, and it kind of turned out interesting. We got sci-fi though, and at first I was kind of loathing it because I was like, great, it's proximity again. I'm going to do sci-fi. And another problem with sci-fi sometimes is you immediately think, flashing lights, gooey alien blood, and crazy flying things. But so really what we had to tackle was how can we literally, like, we didn't have any lights. We had a camera with a mic on it, and that was all we had really. And so we had to figure out how can we use our surroundings, which we ended up picking my house as well as the 3 other people who live with me. They were participating. And just how do we create the effect of a sci-fi? How do we really get that effect without having
crazy makeup
yes.
and lots of green.
Exactly. That's I feel like that's what everyone thinks when they immediately think sci-fi, but it was a great experience. We only had problems with editing really, and that was and it still wasn't even that much of a hurdle to jump. So
I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, going off of
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, going off of sci-fi, the whole, not realizing how broad that genre can really be. I mean, we had fantasy, and when I first heard we got fantasy, I was like, how the hell are we going to do fantasy? What are we going to do for that?
Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. We were like, are we going to have to shoot like a 9-hour epic here? But no, and then it ended up being like, once you narrow down kind of what you want to do with it and where you can kind of take that genre, where you can really branch that out, you can get something really cool out of it. And I was really impressed with how we put together what we did, because we just didn't realize where fantasy can be pushed until we got together and collaborated about it. Like, I was in my head, I was thinking like, we're gonna have to get like some swords and like all that stuff, and I was like, I don't know how we're gonna do that. I have no idea. But it ended up working out to be the exact opposite, and it was a very much more subdued kind of fantasy, and I really liked how that went.
And someone got silent film as well.
They did.
So
yep,
a lot of challenging genres, which is cool.
What went into the process of picking those genres?
So basically, so BFI and BTV co-hosted, co-organized this event, but BFI loves to make films, so we wanted to be part of the competition, so we couldn't be a part of the selection process of choosing the genre. So BTV expertly and wonderfully handled this choosing of the names and the choosing of the genres and the prop and the line and all that fun stuff, and we just happened to get Phil and Phyllis Anderson newspaper, and I've been checking you out. So
that line was a nightmare.
That line was fantastic.
Can you tell me about that line and how you incorporated it into each of your films?
Yes, please. Let's go
I'd
around.
love to.
I've been checking you out. How did you use it in your movie? Starting here.
Okay, I'll go first. In our film, a character is lost, is driving, and needs directions. So he goes to a girl and says, "We need directions." She goes, "Well, I'm going that way anyway. Can I just take a ride?" She goes, "Yeah, okay." And they start having a dialogue, and he says, "You don't strike me as the type of person, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "What type of person do I strike you as?" And he goes, "Well, I've been checking you out for about 5 minutes, and blah, 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 you're like this, and blah, 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 you're like this." Okay.
Yeah, I at first, when we first got it, I immediately wrote off using it as any sort of sexual reference. I was like, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, I've been checking you out."
I bet
And
the
was like,
comedy group was like thrilled about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, let's not use it. And I was like, okay, so I've been checking you out, and it means for sci-fi, at least, it could show a little bit of paranoia in some sense. But we ended up using it in the sense of like a girl checking out a guy. But they basically, in a dream aspect, would be it basically was we used it as a line that's just kind of like, "I've been watching you," in a sense.
And what about you guys in there?
Let's hear from Oliver.
I think we used it in a simple boy and girl relationship, and it was basically talking about a guy that was checking out a girl during class for a long period of time, and we just implemented it really simply in there.
Yeah, we struggled with how to put the line in for a long time in like our 4 different drafts of the script, but finally, I'd say one time we kind of stepped away from it for about an hour, came back, looked at it again, and then it worked its way in seamlessly.
Our team ended up giving the line kind of this creepy vibe in our film because we put it on a note, and it starts out with like the girl in the grocery store, our protagonist, and this guy's just staring at her for like the longest time, and it's just finally, she looks his way and he looks away, and she goes home, and under her door she finds this note, and she picks it up, and it's, "I've been checking you out." So that's kind of what we went with.
Yeah, we also we used a note as well for ours. We actually had it in a different language for the sake of our. We did a retelling kind of the Judgment of Paris, and towards the end of our film, we have our Phil Anderson sitting in a diner, ordering food from a waitress who is actually like a woman who he has seen in this kind of dreamlike fantasy as as per the mythology, and so yeah, we just had it kind of it felt I don't know, we didn't know what to do with it, so we were just like, maybe we should put it in the end here, have it kind of connect with the whole recurring idea of seeing the same person throughout your night. And I don't know, it was interesting kind of what we did with it, because I just was praying the whole time that like we could just somehow convince them to change our line, because it was just like, I did not that line was a nightmare to me, but I'm not the writer, so I mean, I trusted my team to figure something out where I couldn't, and we did, and I was happy with it.
Well, Ashley, you were also on that team. Can you tell me about, were you the writer?
You were the writer, yeah.
You were the writer.
Yeah,
so what was it like to try to write that in somewhere?
It was actually easier than I thought it would be. When we first got fantasy, that was rough, because I was hoping for comedy. I was like, just come on, that's where I shine. I need it. And we didn't get it, so it was fantasy. But actually, both of the actors were pretty brushed up well on Greek mythology. So when we went that route, it was really, they helped me out a lot with that. So when we were doing it, like the whole thing is on the napkin and it's in Greek, which we had to get like a close translation because we wanted it to be as close as possible. But then we knew we had to say it or put in the subtitles, and I was like, I don't want to do that. It looks tacky and cheap, so I don't want to do it. So it's like, we're gonna say it out loud, and he says it more as a question, as it like he doesn't remember. There's like a whole thing that comes in that. But yeah, it was fun. I just hate the name Philip Anderson. Like I don't ever want to meet anybody named Philip Anderson. I'll probably write him off real quick. That was the most thing, because we kept hearing that line when we were editing. It's like, my name is Philip Anderson. It's like one of our lines. It's like, I don't want to hear this anymore.
Especially because we had to do Office. We had to do a lot of.
I thought of something too, or like in Fight Club when he says my name is Tyler Durden. So like those two, he was saying my name is Philip Anderson. I'm like, oh, this is too much. I can't. Like,
this is a weird name.
This is a weird name, but like the way it was said in our movie was
weird
really
is good. Weird is good.
Really weird.
We had to do a lot of ADR for our movie, so I heard Philip Anderson about like 6,000 times because we had to sync it up with the actor. And it was just a nightmare because I still hear it to this day, just like My name is Phil Anderson, just over and over again. It's just a nightmare.
We ended up with Phyllis.
Then it sounded like a
We went
hiccup
with Phyllis.
Yeah, we went with
when we
Phyllis.
couldn't get it right, but that was fun.
We used
That
Philip. It was my line to say too, and we took a bunch of takes of it. So I constantly was just saying Philip, Philip, just trying to not say it the same way every time. But it wasn't too bad. But it definitely was. It's kind of a weird name actually. Now that
I was just happy we got a newspaper as our prop because that's the easiest thing to shoehorn in anywhere into your movie.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
I think we
that
just
gave
had
us
our
no
guy
trouble.
pick it up. I think we just had him like pick it up and read it, and it was like we got it in. We're good. We were good with this prop.
Well, and that brings me to another point with editing. How did you guys feel about cutting up so many hours of filming?
Can we skip this point?
well,
Oliver, you want to talk?
Jeez, God.
I think in our team we took a really systematic approach when we actually shot it.
You got
So-
systematic approach. You guys went to breakfast.
Yes,
Breakfast was not even a thought. Breakfast was not even
Scheduling
like in
and
my
planning
brain.
in pre-production.
Yeah.
Oliver texts me at like 9 a.m. I've been editing for like 4 hours straight already. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna get breakfast. You want to come?" I go, "Haha, that's very funny." He goes, "No, we're serious." I'm like, "You out of your mind?"
You know what? Don't even talk. I mean, not you, but Tyler throws a party half the
we've both nights we happened to have the free time to have a party. So we finished filming. We had our one of our editor, Sam Checo, who also wrote, he was Googling how to edit with his with his program throughout
Not even
the
like
day.
a YouTube tutorial or something.
Basically, yeah, YouTube helped us out a lot, and basically we ended the night with just having some people over, and we were just hanging out, and he was editing and
There's
in and out.
supposed to be no fun in
Yeah.
Film 48. You
We
guys
had
should not
too
be having
much
fun.
fun.
It should be constant stress and sweating and
missed the
hatred.
memo.
Hey, my eyes were burning by the end of it, but I had fun.
It was so much fun.
Controlled chaos.
Of course, the
That's a
second
great way to put it.
chaos.
Controlled
the
chaos.
second day, though, when we were finishing up editing, we had basically a full 6 minutes. It was all clean, pretty much. And all of a sudden, I hear Sam's girlfriend go, "What did you save, Sam?" And I look over, and he happened to save an empty file over the file of our. Basically, he went onto YouTube and where he was residing for a while and was like, how to recover a file like that has been saved. And basically, there was just a ton of videos saying like, have you done this? Well, you're out of luck. That's it. And then finally, one guy somehow explained how to do it. And with like an hour left, we were able to recover the file. And so that was actually the only problem we really faced, other than not turning the mic on for about 80% of the time.
It's great.
Yeah, what were some of the biggest hurdles to get to jump over at this point when you were doing the films?
We had an enormous waterfall that drowned out the voices of every line of
Babbling
dialogue
brook.
in our movie.
Yes.
It
More
was
like Screaming Brook if it was that loud.
Yeah, it really was a screaming brook. That and also having to cut out like half of our movie because we had just so much dialogue and we were just like, we were already hitting 6 minutes before we even shot the last scene and we were like, okay, we got to figure out what to do with this and fast. And we managed to just condense it as much
Matt,
as
that
we
was so
could.
funny. We were on we were at the Skylark because we were shooting there, and all of a sudden we get a text from Matt, and he's editing. I mean, he was up for like 12 hours straight. We get a text. He's like, "Oh, good to know, guys. Our film is now full feature length." And so, if you guys just want to hurry up with what you're doing,
We
and
had,
get back
I think,
so we can finish.
total footage that we had that was usable was like almost an hour, and it was just way too much. And this was after I got rid of like all the bad takes. Like this was like what we actually could have used in our movie was like about 45 to 50 minutes.
What was there a limit first?
Yeah, so speaking of length is
Yeah.
something I battled with seriously. Well, the thing is you know, one of the best parts about Film 48 was that you trash talked. Like I smack talked to other teams that you ain't got no shot, you're going down. In the Pipe Dream article, I said that I'm going to wipe the floor with Tyler's face with my film.
Oh my!
So like that was the best part, and I was so happy. I was so excited to get my film judged and like get it in the competition to see if I would win anything. And I'm in the editing process, and we finished the rough cut, and I'm like, this film is 13 minutes long, and the film had to be 3 to 6 minutes.
Oh.
So I pulled everyone together, and we had to make the collective choice to say, you know what? Forget the awards. It's not about that, but it kind of is. And we decided we're going to submit a 13-minute film, and it'll be disqualified. Yes, it won't be available for judging, but it'll screen, and we're proud of it. And it's a hell of a 13-minute film. You can't cut a film by more than half.
How long was that justification process that you went through with the 13-minute film? Was it like, we're going to talk ourselves into being okay? Because
about 45 seconds.
It looks like you had like run through this. You were like, okay, we need a plan. Like, we're proud of this film. We're going to show it. It's not we're not going to win, but like we need to.
Since we had no time to waste.
Oh, okay.
We had about 60 seconds to decide whether we were going to try and cut it or leave it as is, and we decided to leave it as is. It was tough. I'm not up for any awards, but I'm very proud of the 13-minute film.
My team wasn't worried anyways. Even if you
wow.
did.
Wow.
The trash talking continues.
BFI co-hosts going at it. The battle of the BFI boys.
Ah, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Catchphrase.
I wonder. That's gonna be a good catchphrase.
Our first single.
BFI.
We have the choreography.
Yeah.
Brendan, that's you.
So we're very excited that we've ordered some custom-made awards. We ordered this big glass acrylic that's custom engraved with the Film 48 logo, and it's like a foot long, and like it's big and it's awesome. And we're hoping that one guy who's 60 years down the road is going to find it in his attic and say, "Oh my God, this weekend! Wow, that's the idea. That's the idea.
That's how bad it was. It's stuck in your mind. For
That's
60
how
years.
bad it was.
I will never forget
The stress will never leave us
ever.
So will you be doing this competition again next year?
Won't.
Well, I unfortunately am graduating in December, but I would imagine and would seriously hope that
We will be.
Yes, if it's not a
Simplify
semesterly thing, which I think it should be, it'll at least definitely be an annually thing, because it was just such a success. We had 15 teams and over 100 students participating. And this is not like a, hey, let's make a movie. This is like you are committing to a process that is stressful and complex and frustrating, and over 100 students decided to go for it. And that alone is like just so amazing for us, me and Tyler, who just want to spread a little filmmaking to people.
A lot of alumni came out too. There were many alumni.
Five or six alumni came up and participated. It was amazing. It was just, we just couldn't ask for more. Couldn't ask for more. It's fantastic.
Wait, so speaking of Film 48, do you have a little something to share with us about what's going to be coming up?
Yeah. Tyler and I had a bit of a impromptu 2 a.m. meeting a couple nights ago, and he said, great, BFI has just finished an amazing competition. Oh my God, it's about to wrap up.
I said, let's rest.
I said, let's not, because once again, I'm graduating, so I'm trying to use every minute. And BFI has something coming up. We've got something in the works that we're in the process of organizing. We won't give too much away, but basically, filmmaking, you can express yourself in a lot of different mediums in a lot of different ways, and one of those ways is through music videos. So we're going to work with that concept and expect an announcement from us in the coming days.
Releasing a video for the BFI boys, I imagine.
BFI boys are all about promo videos.
That's a passion project. We're going to do on the side.
Now, as we come to the end of our broadcast, I do want to go around one last time and ask you to finish this sentence. Each of you, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I love movies because... Starting with Ashley.
Well, you gave me this question earlier. Just say, I love movies because. Can I do that? Did we agree on? Okay, good. All right.
I love movies because it's the only place I get to yell at people, and people have to listen to me.
He thinks.
I love movies because textbooks hurt my eyes.
Yeah.
I love movies because I spend nearly 23 hours of every day on a stage, and this gets to be my different outlets and something new.
I love movies because it's probably the best medium out there to tell a story.
I love movies because they take me to another place.
I love movies because books only have 26 letters and music only has so many notes, and you can do so much with movies and with the medium of film itself to really express just kind of the weird stuff that goes on in your head and get it out there and make it kind of make sense to people and kind of explain yourself in a way and express yourself.
Well, footage of this wonderful interview will be found on BTV and also on the WHRW FM BFI.org news blog. So
Fantastic.
look around for that
Awesome.
on the website. And are there any announcements that you'd like to make for our listeners about BFI, about the Film 48 competition in general?
If you are a filmmaker and you're out there listening, just pick up a camera and do stuff.
Yes,
That's our motto.
we can help you
Pick
out.
up a camera and do stuff. Press record. Just press record.
Just press record.
That's
Yeah.
the first hurdle of filmmaking. Press the red button.
Yeah, and
Right. And so that brings us to the end of this broadcast. I've been joined this evening by
Jared Buno.
Tyler Downey.
Brendan Gregory.
Oliver Lau.
Jordan, right?
Matt Greenberg.
and your host, Lory Martinez, and my co-host,
Ashley Dufresne.
Tune in next week for another edition of the Friday Special Evening Review on WHRW 90.5 FM Binghamton.